Hello and welcome back to the Red and White preview. Following a 2-2 draw earlier on today, actually, away to MK Dons after taking the lead, but then unfortunately having to come from behind again. We travel to Shrewsbury on Tuesday afternoon, and joining me to preview the game is Sunderland fan and member of Safc Fan Reacts, Gary. Gary, thanks for coming on. How are you?
All right, good, thank you.
No, good, yeah. And from Shrewsbury, we have the creator of the WestStandBlog. It is Harry. Harry, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No, pleasure, mate. Right, to kick us off, Harry, today, I noticed when I was doing a bit of research, you've won, since you got beat to us, you've won, actually won 2 out of your last 3. One of those games being Peterborough, who you beat. So is losing to us not kind of killed that momentum that you seem to have?
It doesn't seem like it, no. It seems, I think overall we've been pretty consistent. We've played good football at times throughout the games. We haven't carved out many chances. That's more been down to a bit of quality, the goals we've scored. But I think overall we've looked solid defensively. We don't give up many chances. But yeah, I don't think the momentum was killed against you lot, really.
No, Gary, I mean, today obviously we drew 2-2. I don't think anyone's really pleased with the result. I think everyone was kind of going into the game wanting 3 points, maybe not expecting it, but wanting it, especially after we beat the side 3-0 away on Tuesday. A quick summary, kind of, where did the game go wrong for you today?
Oh, it's that 10 or 15 minutes in the first half, wasn't it? It started to look painfully like the home game we played against them when we were kind of getting outwitted all over the park. I was just saying to some of the other fans on Fans React, it struck me that at that point we missed Josh Scowen, and our inexperience at full-back, I think, caught us out a little bit as well. And I mean that on both sides, both Power and Vokins. Obviously as the game went on, but yeah, they seemed to catch us cold. 1 minute they're playing just in front of us, and our midfield didn't seem to be able to cope with that, with just the 2 there. And then all of a sudden they started hitting long balls, and that seemed to catch us out as well. So that 10-15 minutes was strange. I'm never quite sure how much of that's to do with tactics and managerial influence, and how much it is to do with players just almost fighting for supremacy in the match. Once we established ourselves and started to play our game, we did okay, but maybe we just sat back and allowed them into it. And once we settled, we were okay. But I think, like all Sunderland fans feel, the second half should have been enough to win it, and there was enough chances, particularly that one of McGeady's at the end, to have put that game to bed. So massively frustrated. And out of the 2 away games coming up, I'd hope, one of the reasons I'd hoped for a win today is I'm a bit nervous about Shrewsbury on Tuesday night, because whenever I see them, they look like a decent team. And I'm not overly confident about Tuesday as I was today. So we'll have to see how that leaves us.
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, the number one problem I would say earlier today was that we just didn't convert our chances. It seems as if for the longest time, the problem has been creating chances, but today we had time and time again we could have won the game. There was times when we won the look where we could have put that second goal in. I know pretty much as soon as we scored, we were on the back foot, and it was that kind of 10-15 minute spell of us getting rained down on. But we still had the odd chance in that time, and McGeady had his chance right at the end. That was gutting when he missed that. White could have had a hat-trick today. O'Brien probably had a few chances. There was so many chances, but I think another problem I noticed was that we struggled with a bit bite in midfield, and I think you're touching it there with Josh Scowen. He's a player who I criticised quite a lot, but the last couple of games, in all fairness, I think he's significantly improved. I think his presence was quite missed today, really. I've been calling for O'Nien to come into the midfield so much, and as much as I want him to stay in there, I think Scowen's presence was missed today. I don't think it helped that Leppard didn't have the best of games either. I'm a massive fan of Grant Leppard. I do think he contributes a lot to the team, and he really controls and dictates the game at times. But today he wasn't quite at the races. I don't know. I think you look as if you're agreeing with us there.
Absolutely agree with you. Yeah, same. Big fan of Grant's, but I don't know how much it is to do with age. Some of his decision making, giving the ball away unnecessarily. There's a couple of times when he just doesn't look as though he's got the legs in him, and I hesitate, before saying that, because I think it's an easy charge to make against somebody who's 35 now. But yeah, I know you and I disagreed before the match, because I said I would have preferred Scowen in there, and I'm not convinced by O'Nien. I just don't think he's got the same discipline. And we need somebody. I think Scowen's helped make Leadbitter look good this season, or certainly, since Johnson came in. But I think the point you made about the chances, yeah, you're absolutely right. We take them chances, we win the game comfortably, and goals win games, don't they?
Yeah. I would like to see O'Nien still given that kind of 5 to 10 game run in midfield, because I think there's a lot that he can offer us. But potentially it isn't right to play to give him next to Leadbitter, because Leadbitter maybe needs someone who can sit a bit deeper to do his running for him, because as you say, he's 35-year-old. He can't get about the pitch like he used to. Do you know what I mean? When he was here the first time with us. So yeah, I think I would start to see O'Nien given that run in the midfield, but maybe it's best in a 4-3-3, or best, maybe even next to someone like Winchester. I haven't been so impressed with, but maybe just a different style of play. I mean, I touched on the midfield. I would imagine you're not a huge fan of the 4-2-2 system. I know a lot of people aren't. If you aren't, but how would your midfield look if you could take charge? Would you keep the 4-2-2? If so, who comes in? Would you change to a 4-3-3 or a 4-4-2 and change things up? If you could pick midfield.
You're right. I'm not a fan of it. Makes us look too narrow for me, and I think the big conundrum is, how do we get the best out of Wyke? Now it appears that having O'Brien next to him has helped him produce his best form, and I've knocked the lads endlessly in the past over the last 2 or 3 years, but today I thought his hold-up play was excellent. Like I said, he could have had a hat trick, and I wouldn't have been saying that a few months ago. Mm-hmm. But I think the big conundrum is probably O'Brien. Who is he bringing the best out of Wyke? I'd like to see him far more influential. There's still stuff missing in O'Brien's game that frustrates living daylights out of me. Aggression, directness. I like the movement, but there's just something that we're not getting out of him, and it makes me think that what we really need is maybe a 4-2-3-1. So if you like, 3 people sitting off Wyke or sitting behind Wyke, including more of a number 10. So when we're talking about the midfield, I'm kind of thinking, well, if we've got either Leadbitter or Winchester, and then either O'Nien or Scowen sitting, then we need somebody to play in that forward midfield position. Now it could be Gooch, it could be O'Nien. Not sure, but I'm still not convinced I know what our best. We've got so many choices at the moment. I don't know what our best 11 is going to be. But I think Johnson obviously needs to settle on a formation, and I just don't think the 4-2-2 is that formation. Just don't feel convinced at any point that works best for us.
Yeah, it's reminding us a little bit of the Jack Ross days when he came in. He played 4-4-2, a little bit 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1. He kind of settled on the 4-2-3-1, and then he went a kind of a 4-5-1 right towards the end of the season. After that seemed to work against Portsmouth. I think it was Portsmouth against one of the games. I think. We changed his formation. Lee Johnson's doing the same. I'm someone who likes to have I like a manager who has the system, and that's what they go by. If this is how we're going to line up. But I like a manager who can be a little bit unpredictable as well. Just at times, just all of a sudden change things up, especially when you start to get figured out. And that was, I think, Parkinson's main criticism. So I would love to see Johnson have a real established formula, but then with effective plan Bs and Cs for when things don't go wrong. Harry, to bring you back in there, I was of the belief a few weeks ago when you played us, Sean Warley's probably your biggest threat. He's got a few goals, they're quite decent on the ball, but quite old, and I think he was a converted winger as well, really playing up front. But we're talking beforehand about Chapman. He played absolutely brilliant against us. He ran us ragged, to be quite honest with you. Of course, he's got 3 goals in his last 3 games since you played us. Real threat running the defenders. Is he starting to become your main danger man?
100%, yeah. He has been playing as more of an auxiliary striker up with Ado since Cottrell come in, but today, as I was talking to you earlier, we switched to a 4-3-3, which saw Chapman go out to the left and Warley go out to the right. But yeah, Chapman's been sublime since he's come in. He's one of those players that you don't really get many of in League One. He's just got that quality where he'll quite happily get on a ball and he'll beat 2 players, he'll score a worldie, but he'll happily track back, he'll come back, he put in a bit of a cruncher on Tuesday, which did unfortunately result in an injury for Cruz Olifini. So I wish him all the best in his recovery. But yeah, he's one of those players. He's got it all really. And if there's any way we can get Olney in the summer, then I think it's probably one of our best signings in years.
What in particular is it about him that makes him so effective? Is it his pace?
It probably is his pace. It's also his ability to just drop a shoulder and he's away from a man. He doesn't mind as well. He's got the work rate. I've seen a lot of Blackburn Rovers fans come out and say, I saw one tweet earlier saying Championship quality, League One attitude. But he really hasn't shown that since he's come in. You think if he's got a poor attitude, he's going to sit up there all game and wait for the ball to come to him. But he's been putting in the hard yards and he's been tracking back and doing his defensive work as well, which is brilliant.
Nice. Sounds like an all-round midfielder, then, the type of guy you want in your team, definitely. Obviously, you touched on your change in formation there. Do you think that was required? Because you've been operating with 3 at the back for a long time.
Yeah, we have. But also, I think it's been pushed on us by Pierre getting announced as he picked up an injury today. So hopefully that's nothing major because he's been our best player this season and last season as well. But then we also picked up Matthew Pennington from Everton on loan in the window. But he's been announced that he's picked up a muscle problem, which we don't know how long, but it's been reported he could be missing a few months, which isn't great. But other than that, we've got Ogbeta, who we brought in from City, but he's been playing as our left back or left wing back, but has played as a left-sided defender in the past. But other than that, we've only really got Ethan Ebanks, Sean Williams, who can play centre back. So I think it was more injuries pushed us to move to the system than Wilbraham or Cottrell wanted us to change.
A player I've noticed has started to play for you quite a lot recently, especially since you played us. He looked as if he hadn't played for a while, but he's coming in now. So the ex-Sunderland player, a name that Gary, I'm sure, will be well aware of, Donald Love. How's he getting on? Because you think he's played the past 4 or 5 games now? Yeah.
Well, obviously he signed for us last season, and then I think he had a good first 3 or 4 games for us, but then he really went off the boil and he'd become a bit of a laughing stock among the fans. And then obviously after the Liverpool game, there was a few. Especially, I've got friends as well who are fans of clubs around us. I've always had a few jokes saying, "Oh, Donald Love, he knows where the back of the net is. Problem is, it's his own net." And he's always had jokes made about him like that. And but he hasn't really played any this season. He played 1 game in the I don't even know what they call it, the Mickey Mouse Cup, leasing.com or Papa John's, whatever it is.
Yeah.
He played 1 game in that, and I think the main focus is on Sean Goss in that game, who had similar treatment from rickets. But yeah, since he's come back in, I think, especially when you consider he hadn't played proper football in 6 months. He'd been phased out from London. I think he'd been told to train with the under-19s, under-18s like Goss had. And so obviously that's not great for his morale and his spirit. But yeah, he's come in and I think he's looked, double the player we had last season, especially against you. I think he plays a left wing back, which certainly I think he didn't look great at right wing back last season, let alone left wing back. So yeah, against Peterborough especially, I thought he was excellent. He looks like he's just got rid of a bit of his rashness, and he's changed it into being a bit more intelligent and always looking up and getting a better pass than just running and trying to clatter a player, which is what each year.
Yeah, Gary, there was a bit of a debate on Twitter last night about who kind of should be playing for us going forward. Obviously, I've been operating with the 4-2-2, which kind of leaves us with a front 4, I would say. Often with the 2 behind the strikers being a bit narrower. John Jones came in today, again off the bench, looked absolutely brilliant, as he did on Tuesday night. His pace, to me, the pace that lad's got is something that we haven't got anywhere else in the team at all. Gooch came back from an injury, and then obviously he tested positive despite being asymptomatic. I mean, couldn't play. There's been a lot said about Jack Diamond. Is he ready yet? I think he just maybe needs to tweak a few things, and there's definitely potential there. Similar question with the midfield, really. But if we stay with 4-2-2, if we go to 4-2-3-1, if we go to 4-3-3, what kind of players? Which players do you want to play for us going forward? Because there's a lot of fans saying that, and myself included, that McGeady maybe shouldn't be playing every single game.
It might just be coincidence, but I thought McGeady's tracking back today was superb.
Yeah.
He was really battling, wasn't he? And he showed up a few times when they were on the attack, almost alongside the defenders. So fair play to him. You can't knock his effort. Just his finishing that needs some work on it. I'm a big fan of McGeady. I love him. His skill is sublime. But like with Leadbitter, he's going to need a rest from time to time. And it seems to me that Jones is the obvious replacement for him. Some of the touches from Jones today and the way he picks it up and immediately has defenders on the back foot. It's the first time I've watched him properly, and I thought he was excellent for that cameo appearance. So I would definitely like to see him. When you're playing in those kinds of positions, pace is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
The ability to control the ball and have a go at defenders. No defender likes that. So the thought of having Diamond on one side and Jones on the other really appeals to me. But obviously, I dare say Johnson will be thinking also about the defensive side and keeping us solid in the middle, because that has probably served us well, and might be a bit of a legacy from Parkinson, but we have been good at winning the ball back. We haven't always used it wisely, but our core, I think, has been okay, no matter who we've played in that position. So yeah, I like the idea of Diamond and Jones. I'd always have Scowen in the team. Question marks, I think, as he said, about maybe he's Ledbetter and it might be Winchester or it might be O'Neill, somebody replacing him. Yeah. Again, we've got choices, haven't we? Which is unusual, but I said to the lads earlier, I've just looked at the fixtures and bearing in mind that we've now got a midweek game against Lincoln in the I think you call it House Trophy, Harry, or whatever we're calling it these days, the Papa John's. That means that between now and Easter, we've got 2 games a week every week.
To the end of the season, I think.
No spare. Yeah, so there's a lot of football to be played. And so he's going to have to rotate the squad. So I can see McGeady alternating with Jones. I can see Diamond alternating with Gooch. And 1 or 2 of the other players coming back in as well.
Yeah,
so,
I think yeah.
Go on.
No, go on. I thought you were finished. Go on, wrap up with you.
I'm going to say, from a manager's point of view, he probably says it's a nice decision to have, but I don't think he knows his best 11 just at this moment. And it'll be interesting to see what he does on Tuesday night, who he puts out, and how much he adapts to the opposition. Because I'm sure Harry won't disagree with me, but you look a good footballing team, and that kind of worries me a little bit more than it does playing, obviously, against certain other teams in the division.
Yeah, I think with the forwards, it's clearly Johnson wants them to press. He wants them to get in the defenders' faces. He wants all 4 of those front lads getting at the defenders, closing them down, not giving them any time on the ball. I don't think McGeady's the right fit. I think that's why Maguire's been playing this, because Maguire doesn't really tend to do that. He's not a player who can, graft for 90 minutes, putting sprints in to close defenders down. And I don't think McGeady's that player either, in all fairness. I think McGeady's really struggled with kind of the way his career has been the past 14 months, coming in, despite having no real kind of fitness regime, despite being frozen out for so long, to then have the break with COVID that we had. And then he's been jumped back in again. It's been a difficult scenario for him. So that's why I'm putting the lack of match sharpness. I guess he doesn't seem to have that burst of pace that he used to before, just to knock around a defender and get there. He doesn't seem to have that anymore. So it's a confusion when playing McGeady, but not playing Maguire. For me, Jordan Jones has got to be the priority now. We need to get him a good run in the team, because he came off the bench today, played just about a full game, I think, on Tuesday night. He might have came off for someone, I'm not sure. But he looked brilliant both times. Diamond, I think, no pun intended, he looks a bit of a rough diamond. He looks as if he's kind of got the real potential there, but it's just tweaking a few fine margins. His final delivery and his decision making can be very rash at times. Sometimes his crosses don't even beat the first man, but he's got the pace and the drive to just weave his way through teams. So for me, Gooch just kind of nudges him on that, and I think Gooch and Jones would be my preferred 2. But you're right, we're going to play pretty much 2 games a week, and you can't expect players to do it over a prolonged period of time. So, rotating the players is definitely going to be key. I guess
I just want to interject if I can, Jack, because this is too good to miss. I just want to point out that it's Valentine's Day in a week, and on Tuesday night we've got Jack Diamond and Donald Love on the pitch at the same time. I mean, if you're a headline writer, it's lined up for you there, isn't it?
I might write that actually on my title for ELS. I guess I'm very happy you did interject. Actually, that was a really good thing to say. That. Gary, who started for you at left back? Vogtens came in today, really didn't impress it at all. I was quite excited to see him. He was the worst player on the pitch for me. I've made it clear I don't think Callum McFadzean's a very effective defender at all, especially not in the back 4. We looked a lot more assured when Deon Sanderson came on. We looked defensively sound again, and he seems to be a half-decent defender. Out of the options we've got, who plays at left back for you?
I got slaughtered a little bit and ready to go this morning for suggesting Flanagan should go left back.
Why don't go and ready to go? Although I'm getting a few mentions, especially with the shenanigans that went on last night.
I can imagine. Yeah, I've not seen that. Flanagan gives us height. He's naturally left-sided. He's not a bad defender. It's just his distribution at times lets him down. So I think he should be in the mix as much as anybody else. I agree with everything you said. Like Fadzine started off okay, and going forward, there's some potential, but he worries me a lot at the back. His positional sense to me is poor. I agree with you also about the lad from Southampton. A couple of times I thought he got very easily pulled out of position, and it might be because nobody was going to their midfield, and he kind of came out to block the shot where nobody else has, and nobody else was, and I don't want to criticise him too much for doing that because somebody has to take the impetus sometimes. But yeah, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced by him or McFadzine. So Sanderson to me looks better at fullback actually at the moment than he does central defender.
Yeah.
And I think him and the Rangers lad whose name's Jones actually linked up a couple of wells today.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So there's a bit of potential there maybe. I always think partnerships are really important on a pitch. You know, if you get players playing off each other, we've not really had that too much. But you know, those two, and I think back to, you know, the likes of Mickey Gray in the team playing alongside Julio Arca, playing off each other, you know, down the left, and we had similar. Yeah, absolutely. We had similar under Peter Reid. You know, I'd like to see those sort of partnerships developing. I did think Sanderson and Jones looked both dangerous on the ball, both comfortable on the ball actually, and therefore stood out today. So I think that would probably be my preference.
Yeah, hopefully Jake Walton today was just a little bit nervous. Maybe he didn't quite understand what Lee Johnson was asking for him. I'm hoping it's something along those lines because he does look a real promising player, and I think he looks as if he's a player who can really go on and achieve things in his career. So I do hope that it was just, you know, you can put it down to something or other today, and you know maybe you rest him for the next game, you bring him back in, and you know you're all of a sudden he's firing again. But I think you're right there with Sanderson and Jones. I did see them kind of linking up quite well, and they seem to have a decent bit of chemistry. And you know, partnerships, especially out wide, I think can be really important. Harry, we've talked about how you're kind of like a decent footballing team. Obviously, you change it to 4-3-3 today. What kind of tactics can we expect? Are you still like playing along the floor type team?
Predominantly, yeah. I think the main part of our long ball hoofiness from Pierre. He likes a diagonal ball. He likes to try and get it up to a dough when he's there. But equally, we've had Curtis Main come in today, who's another big lad. And so it depends really. If we go with the 4-3-3, I think it will be a bit more play it on the floor, give it to Chapman mainly, give it to Worley, let him run. We've also got Josh Vella, who is great on the ball. Norburn's good on the ball. Goss has got a great pass in him. So it really does depend really on the system. I think if we manage to switch back to the 5-back, it will be a lot of utilising the wing backs and getting a crossing, which hasn't really been the most effective because Ogbeta, you can tell he's played a lot at centre half because although he's good with the ball at his feet, dribbling, got a good pass in him, he couldn't cross a road. And also Donald Love getting forward, he's good, but then equally he's always liable to give the ball away, make a harsh challenge, put a cross into Rosette or something stupid like that. So I think we look best when we keep the ball on the floor, play good football, which we've played at times under Cottrell. There's also been times that have been really tense like today where we've gone one up and teams have started coming for us. It happened against Hull, it happened against Lincoln, it happened against Doncaster, it happened today, where teams are coming at us and we've got to defend. But I think we've shown in those games that we can do that. We're happy to sit back. We're happy to grind the ball out and just lump the ball forward and play for the win. It's frustrating to be on the receiving end of it because it happened to us against Crewe this week where Crewe sat back happily. And it works at the end of the day. It's not the best to watch for the fans, but I think any fan would prefer us to sit back, do that and get the 3 points than carry on going forward and concede and lose 2 points from it.
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising you said because Paul, who runs the Fans Jack channel, seems to have this idea that a match has got to be entertaining. Me and him had quite a heated debate about this. That's putting it lightly, really, about what the importance of having an entertaining game is there. I mean, my entire life supporting Sunderland, we've all, you know, a lot of the time we've just played whatever football it is that's going to get us results. And to me, football's a results business. And I don't watch football to be entertained. I watch football because I want Sunderland to win. It's as simple as that. So I'm not really bothered about how flashy the football is. I don't care if we're grinding results out. Tackles flying in, and everyone pulled together on the line. I'm not bothered whether it's that or it's tiki taka for me. If we're getting results, we're getting results. What can we look to exploit going into our fixture? And is any real weak points in the squad?
I think if Love plays, I think you could look to get at him. He's not the best defensively, and he's always, if you can get at him and frustrate him, he will quite happily go in and he'll fly in on someone. I think Vela as well, we've seen it with him. 2 sending offs while he's been at Shrewsbury, and he joined last January, and he played 2 games before the season got called off. He got sent off against Oxford a bit harshly, in my opinion, last year. But then against Peterborough this season, when we lost 5-1, he went flying in on Mark Beavers, I think it was, and he got himself a straight red for it. And he's always, if you can frustrate him, he's more than happy to go crunching in on someone, and that can be a liability. His discipline. I think Norburn as well, he likes a challenge, but I think he's got that more, he's a lot more disciplined than Vela, let's put it that way. I think struggle with the back 2. I think they're very solid, Williams and Ebanks Landell, especially if Pierre is back and we play that 3. I think that's a solid 3. I think that's up there with defences in the league. I think they're an unbelievable defence. Sarkic in goal has been brilliant. He's good with the ball at his feet. I think if you can lock down Chapman, I think we will struggle. Because Worley today, he didn't look at the races, although he's been great. He's done us brilliantly this season. He's just picked us out against Accrington Stanley. He scored a brilliant free kick. He scored against Lincoln. Not Lincoln, when we're down. He did score against Lincoln, but he scored against Wigan when we were down to pull us back into it. I think if you can lock down Chapman and Worley, but Chapman especially, then I think we will struggle.
Yeah.
Ask a quick question, Harry, just in terms of Chapman. So obviously I saw him at the Stadium of Light, and I saw a bit of his your game against Peterborough as well. So, I mean, to me, he obviously looks a player. Yeah. What was the deal with Blackburn? Was he not getting a look in? Have they sent him out for match time, or is a transfer a realistic proposition?
From what I've heard from the Blackburn fans, they've been talking a lot about it off the pitch and how maybe he's clashed with Tony Mowbray wanting first team minutes, which equally you can't be around a Championship club and have a bad attitude, demanding, thinking, well, I should be getting minutes because I am who I am. I think equally in that league, more than the Premier League, you can get in a team on merit of having your name. Like we've seen it with Mesut Ozil for years now. He had 1 good season at Arsenal, and then he's got in the team based on being Mesut Ozil. But in the Championship in League 1 and League 2, you can't do that. And he thought he could do that at Blackburn. So they've sent him out to us, and hopefully we can make it permanent.
Yeah, if he settles, that could work out for him.
Definitely.
No, he does look very good, and he's the player I fear most on Tuesday night, that's for sure.
Yeah. To which I would definitely agree. I think he's got to be the main threat and the main player we look to target. I guess touching on what you said about Donald Love, we do have players that can probably frustrate fullbacks. So I'd imagine playing against Jack Diamond, Jordan Jones, Lynn and Gooch in particular, players who, the quick that can wave in and out. They are probably quite frustrating players to play against. I mean, as well as Ian McGeady, very experienced. And of course, still a quality player, as much as I do think he's dropped off significantly. I think wingers has probably got to be one of our main strong points, really. And I guess with Chapman, it's a similar. So I think League One is a lot of players who are Championship quality, but maybe just don't have quite the right attitude. I think a lot of people tend to criticise Chris Maguire's attitude and say, if he had a better attitude, could play in the Championship, and maybe that's a fair assessment. But moving on, we'll look to wrap things up. Gary, we'll go to you first. A prediction.
I've already been asked for a prediction and got slaughtered for saying 1-1.
I was watching actually.
But then at the same time, how many score draws have we had? Something ridiculous, haven't we? Yeah. In the last 140 games or whatever it is, 120. I might revise that, and do you know what? I think there might be, same as today, there might be goals in it. Because the truth is, we are getting a bit exposed at the back. I think Shrewsbury look a good team. I think when Shrewsbury got their act together a little bit as the game went on at the Stadium of Light, going forward, they look very good. But I think maybe both teams can exploit weaknesses. Just going back to Donald Love, I've got the TV on in the background, and there's David Moyes' face there getting very upset about a sending off for West Ham. Moyes brought Love into the club on the back of his season at Man United, along with McNair. I don't like David Moyes, but he must have seen something in him. He must have, shown some. But I think he's a confidence player. And as Harry said, that's a potential weakness. So get Jordan. Is he still playing on the left, Harry?
No, he's played on the right the last few games since we got Ogbetter in.
So, but regardless of whether it's Diamond or Jones, I'd be using the pace to worry him, because if he loses his confidence, then he's likely to wilt underneath. So yeah, I'm going to revise that and still go score draw, but I'll say another 2-2. Why not?
Another 2-2. Oh well, Harry, will go to you.
2-2, yeah.
I think it does very much depend on which version of Shrewsbury we get to turn up. We could get the version that came to the stadium a few weeks back and create nothing, but can also nullify the team to one chance, which you took against us. I'm going to say, I think if we can score first, I think we should be able to ride it out. But I think if you score first, I think we're going to struggle to get back into the game. So I'm going to say a draw as well. I think it's going to be 1-1. And I'm going to say, I think Curtis Main to score. And I'm going to say Charlie White, because I think he seems to be your biggest threat and one of your few threats in front of goal.
Yeah, I think what I've said with White all the time is if you get him enough chances kind of in and around within 8 to 10 yards of the goal, and he doesn't have to turn or beat anyone, he just kind of has to instinctively finish in the right area. I think he will score you that 20 goals a season. It's just that he hasn't really, especially with O'Brien kind of coming in and helping him out, doing a lot more of the dog work, kind of playing as a second striker. That I think O'Brien has helped White insurmountable in that amount. So I do really back him to get a goal, especially when he's playing next to O'Brien. As for myself, I think it all depends on how we treat Chapman. I do think we will score. I think we'll score twice. I do. I think we'll get at least 2 goals. I think it all comes down to whether we can keep Chapman quiet. But I trust Johnson in scouting him and making sure that he puts someone in there who can control him. So I think I'm quite tempted to go with a 2-1 win. I think that's what I'll go with. But lads, thanks to the both of you for coming on. Harry, I'll leave your Twitter and the West Stand blog link in the description if anyone wants to go over and read what Harry has to say for Shrewsbury.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Nice to talk to you both.
No problem. And I'll leave Gary's Twitter in the description as well as the link to SAFC Fans React. Thank you everyone for listening. We'll be back here for the next game.